So about a year or two ago, I decided to make a video covering the Crash Bandicoot trilogy for the PlayStation 1. And it sucked. That video was absolutely terrible. In fact, I decided to Thanos snap it off the channel. It's unlisted now, lost to time, shame, and the YouTube algorithm's beautifully filled trash can.
I really don't know what I was thinking. It starts out with a skit so dry that I'm shocked the desert didn't copyright strike me. My voiceover could put a toddler full of Red Bull to sleep, and the reviews themselves? Boring.
But you know what? I still love those games. They're legacy-shaping, childhood-defining, Wumpa Fruit guzzling classics. And I refuse to let those horrible, low-effort piece of crap reviews be my definitive take. So you know what? I'm gonna do it again, each game, one by one, because unlike Cortex's plans, this'll actually work.
Crash Bandicoot, the game that launched 1,000 crates and destroyed millions more. The game company Naughty Dog basically said, what if we took Mario, turned the camera 90 degrees, gave him anxiety, and shipped it on a gray box? Enter Sonic's ass. That sounded very wrong. Yes, the original code name for Crash Bandicoot was Sonic's ass, because the entire game was built around you constantly looking at the back of your character.
I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, no one wants to admit it, but let's be real here. Sonic's butt is the whole reason why Crash Bandicoot exists. And you know what? That's great. Thank you, Sonic's butt. I'm thankful for you. Or I guess Sonic's ass. We'll go with ass.
And look, don't get me wrong, I love Sonic. He's blue, fast, has an unhealthy chili dog eating addiction. Seriously, love the guy. But honestly, hot take, Crash Bandicoot is better. That's it. That's the take. Now, Naughty Dog would have kept making games for the Orange Marsupial, if not for one little thing. The games were published by Universal Interactive. In hindsight, not great. Remember what came after Naughty Dog left Universal? Wrath of Cortex, Twinsanity? Games that, while today are considered cult classics, but back then, they didn't really sell well. And that's especially true of the case of Twinsanity. And look, I already made a video about Wrath and Twinsanity, and despite the excessive swearing, which I'm not really proud of, the video's still pretty solid in my opinion.
But I digress. Let's circle back to the OG, the real deal, the humble beginnings. The 1996 classic that wanted to make Mario crap his overall wearing ass. Crash Bandicoot.
Now, as someone who grew up in the early 2000s, by the time I started gaming, Crash was already face-planting into irrelevance. But during that decline, I actually played a ton of Crash games, including Warped. I mention this because when I eventually tried Crash 1 for the first time, I absolutely hated it. Like, I really did not like this game when I first played it. I thought Crash controlled like ass. He moved like he was wearing Crocs on a damn ice rink. He didn't even have the moves that we now consider a Crash Bandicoot staple. No slide, no body slam, no crawl, just spin and jump and pray for the best. So for a long time, I wrote it off. Crash 1? Nah, not my can of soda. But then the Insane Trilogy got announced, and everyone, including yours truly, was hyped. Like, dangerously hyped. Like, grown adults buying plushies and pretending it's 1998 again levels of hyped. I played it, and while I do have some thoughts that I will save for a future video, I really liked what they did to Crash Bandicoot 1, and it inspired me to go back to the original PlayStation Classic from 1996.
But this time I thought, you know what? Let's do this a little bit differently. I'm gonna do a little bit of role playing. Not that kind of role playing. But we're going to pretend that we're a kid from 1996. In fact, I went as far as to actually play the game on a damn CRT. Yeah, I inhaled the essence of cathode ray tubes for you all. Bastards.
Crash 1 is simple, but charmingly simple. It's a linear 3D platformer, like Mario, but with more depth perception issues. But back in 1996, this was revolutionary. Things like running towards the screen away from a boulder, pure adrenaline. The game dabbles in many different level archetypes, such as forest stages, river stages, tribal towers, and stages where you ride a warthog who I named Paul. This was huge back in the day. Nowadays, it's quite quaint. But, I don't know, there's, for lack of a better phrasing, a cinematic flair to Crash 1 that's still kinda cool today. I like the various fixed camera angles. It allows for a more cinematic playstyle, if that makes any sense. And somehow, despite me not growing up with this game the same way I did with other Crash games, it still gives me this weird, nostalgic, warm fuzziness. Like, you ever get nostalgic for a decade you didn't even live through? That kind of feeling.
Alright, but let's take off the nostalgia goggles for a second. Look, the game may have been good at the time, but do I still think the game holds up to today's standards? Well, if you already read the title of the video, you probably know that I don't think it does.
Like I said earlier, Crash controls like a tank on roller skates. There's this weird post-jump inertia thing, like he's trying to stick a landing on a buttered toast. And while I've played this game for over a decade and can now muscle memory my way through it, new players? The levels themselves are very simple in design. You spin and you jump. That's it. No slides, no belly flops, no crawling. It's a platformer on a Wumpa Fruit diet. Not that this is a bad thing. I like when games are nice and simple. It's just that with future entries improving on a lot of the aspects that this game had, it makes it difficult to come back to, especially with certain things like the very infamous save system. This damn save system is the bane of my existence. You can only save if you beat a bonus stage or collect a gem, so if you get a game over, no save. That's it. Start over. It's the video game equivalent of your parents unplugging your PS1 because dinner's ready. And if you want to 100% the game, you have to get all the gems. These aluminum ass looking diamonds can be obtained by breaking all of the boxes in a level, and this has become a staple of Crash Bandicoot. However, since this is the first game, there's an extra caveat when it comes to collecting the gems. You see, you're not allowed to die when collecting a gem, which obviously, yeah, you don't want to die, but if you die in a level, regardless of if you broke all of the boxes, you aren't getting that level's gem. Yeah, you have to painstakingly break every single box without dying.
What? What are you talking about?
Oh, cool. Yeah, just let me beat Slippery Climb without dying. I love rage. I love pain. I love resetting the level 37 times because I missed a crate hiding behind a damn wall. I love it all! And I'm not even being sarcastic. And what do you get for doing all of this? A slightly different cutscene featuring Beta Tana for some reason. Was this a mistake? An oversight? A subtle message to tell us that this is a different Tana?
I don't know. I asked you.
But again, if you put yourself in the mindset of a kid growing up in 1996, no YouTube, no walkthroughs, no cheats, if you wanted to see what happened when you got every gem, you had to work for it. And if you were a kid who actually did 100% this game, it probably felt like climbing Mount Everest in Velcro shoes. But real talk here, just imagine you just got out of school, it's summer break, you grab some poppin' Doritos, you play Crash Bandicoot all day, yelling at the screen, raging at the immense difficulty, and then, do it. You get the last gem, you see the final cutscene, and you feel like a god. That's the kind of magic that Crash 1 had, and honestly, that's something that we just don't really get anymore. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of this game's soundtrack, I think each of the tracks' simple rhythm really vibe well with the simple gameplay. But Josh Mansell does a way better job with Crash 2 and Crash Warped in my opinion.
The bosses though, whew, well, you're in for a treat.
I used to absolutely hate the bosses from Crash 1, but over the years they have grown on me significantly. They're the kind of bosses that are a bit difficult on the first playthrough, but are a total cakewalk on repeat playthroughs. The highlights for me include the steroid-addicted Koala Kong, famous mob boss Pinstripe Portaroo, and probably the best of all, Dr. Neil Periwinkle Cortex! Christ almighty, where do I even begin? Cortex is my favorite video game villain of all time, and this boss fight is probably one of the reasons why. I love the boss fight, not just because it's fun, not just because the music is awesome, but because of the overall atmosphere. This boss fight genuinely feels like the overall end of a journey. After traversing through Cortex's castle and going through all the trials and tribulations, you finally meet face to face with the main bad guy of the game. You see the castle you were just climbing through being burnt into flames, and the islands you ventured through in the background, just going to show how far you've come since washing up on the shore of Insanity Beach. In the music, it sounds so calm and dangerous, yet also dramatic and action-packed. After a long and arduous battle with the evil doctor himself, Crash gains the upper hand and brutally murders Dr. Cortex in cold blood. We then rescue our big-breasted bimbo Tana Bandicoot, who never appears after this.
What about Crash Boom Bang?
That game doesn't count!
Crash Bandicoot 1 is very meh. It's just a meh game. I feel like the game has aged very poorly over the years. Whenever I play Crash Bandicoot, I feel like there's a few missing ingredients that stop the game from reaching its full potential. Ingredients that would be added in future entries. So I don't think Crash 1 has that special sauce. Crash Bandicoot 2, on the other hand, we'll just have to wait until next time to look at that amazing hunk of goodness. Until next time, this has been the Loaten Show. Thanks for watching.